an abbreviated version of this presentation because we've got a short schedule today. Capital One is also coming in to do a workshop at 11:30 with us, which is really cool. You're going to love it. So we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of business. This is the stuff that personally, guys, up here. This is stuff that personally I don't like a lot because I'm not a details person. I'm a big picture kind of person where I like to be creative and come up with those things, and but I don't like to get into all of the detail. Who's a detail person? Who likes to dig into the details? Yeah, so we're all different, right? We all have different skills on certain things. So there's certain things also for me that I'll dig way into. But for the most part, I am not into the details kind of person. And so it's also, so Stacy mentioned like one of the first principles is to get information from people that are good at certain things. So that's really good idea, and it's something to really concentrate with, not just in your business, but in your life, is surrounding yourself with people that have different skill sets that are good at certain things, that are good at things that you're not good at. So hiring an accountant or a lawyer or something like that for your business, and not trying to figure it out yourself is important. Guys, Angel, up here. Angel. All right, so we're going to talk about the different types of legal entities. There's several different ways you can start your business. You can start your business as a sole proprietor, general partnership, a limited partnership, C corporation, S corporation, and an LLC. I'm an LLC, which is what a lot of small businesses start as. And then all these have different benefits. So sole proprietorship, a lot of people start their businesses as a sole proprietorship because it doesn't cost a lot. You're the one individual that's operating the business. Income and expenses are on your personal tax returns, and you're also responsible for your self-employment tax. So how many of y'all have had a job? How many of y'all had a job where you work for somebody? Okay, so when you get your paycheck, right? Who's received a paycheck? No?
Does that count?
Huh?
Only volunteers.
So if you've received a paycheck from a company, you're going to get, let's say you worked 40 hours at $10 an hour, that's $400, right? But let's just say that's what you did, right? So 40 hours for a week, you made $400. How much do you think your check is?
$5,000.
Now, if you worked 40 hours at $10 an hour, that's $400, right? So what do you think your paycheck actually looks like? Is it $400? No. You got to pay taxes, right? So they're going to take taxes, Social Security, and Medicaid or Medicare out of your paycheck. So your paycheck's actually going to be about $320. So, probably more like right around 300, depending on how much money you make. That percentage is different. But let's say you get $300. Now, what's on top of that? Your employer is also paying tax on that $400. So your employer is paying the $400 to you. The government takes tax out of that, and then they're also paying additional tax on top of that. So the cost to the employer is actually about $500. So for the employer to pay you $400, they've got to pay $500 total. So in a sole proprietorship, you are now responsible for that extra tax money. So that's one of the disadvantages is you're responsible for your self-employment tax, and you also must pay your taxes quarterly. Most people pay taxes annually. You guys, if you have a sole proprietorship, you have to start paying your taxes quarterly, which is a big pain, and you need a good accountant for those things. The biggest drawback is you are personally responsible for any liabilities. Does anyone know what that means? So let's say you start a
Liability is like, I know what it is, but I don't know how to explain.
liability is risk, right? So let's say you start a you make roller skates, and someone comes to buy roller skates and they're skating around in your shop, checking them out, and they fall and they break their ankle. So they can sue you, right? Because they broke their ankle using your stuff in your place of business. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, they can sue you personally, and they can take your house, they can take every dollar that you've ever put in savings. You are not protected at all as a sole proprietor. So that's the big risk. of being a sole proprietor is the liability piece. So a lot of people start this small, right? So a lemonade stand or art, making art or stuff like that, selling art, doing musicians and stuff like that, a lot of times are just sole proprietors. Partnership. So there's two different types of partnerships. There's a general partnership and a limited partnership. A general partnership is basically like a sole proprietor, except there's two people involved. Now the thing about that is, with two people involved, you can get a lot more done, right? So, Angel, let's say you and Colton decide to start a business together.
Oh, what's that tweak?
So you guys decide to start a business together. So let's say Colton goes off and blows all the money.
Boy, it's about to beat you.
Guess who's responsible?
Him.
You are too.
Exactly, you both are.
Boy, you spin it off.
You both are.
Because
So
we're in a business together.
yes, you're in a business together, and if you have a general partnership, then you are both responsible for that personally, and they can sue you all the way down to everything you have. So limited partnerships gives you a little more protection. You have a general partner that runs the business, and then limited partners that are investors only. And the investors only are not responsible for for that. And you also get to take a pass through on taxes instead of taxing the corporation, which is a little bit of a benefit. So corporations, there's several different types of corporations. There's a C Corp. A lot of the big companies you see out there are C corporations. Anything that's traded on the stock market is a C corporation. They're the most expensive to set up. You do have a lot more protection from liability. If you buy stock in a company and that company screws up, you aren't responsible for their screw up, right? Corporations pay taxes that are not passed on to the owners. So if you receive money from that corporation, that's not taxed. You're taxed differently and in a better way. You can sell stock to raise funds, but different states have different rules, so that can make things much more complicated. And business owners do pay double tax because the corporation pays that tax. You get paid as a owner of the corporation, and you have to pay tax on that as well. So S corporation, it's also more expensive to set up. It's a little bit less than a C, but you have more protection from liability. You have better tax benefits because it's a smaller number of people. You still can sell stocks, but there's more rules to follow when selling those stocks. And it does limit your ability to raise funds from certain number of investors and so forth like that. Again, sorry guys, this is a little more in depth, and we are running through it more quickly than I wanted to. But so then there's a limited liability company. So this is what most small companies start as because it's the easiest. It's got a lot of protection. It's very cheap. You have protection from double taxation. It's very flexible. But there is a limited lifetime to it. So you can't start an LLC and be an LLC forever. You're going to have to eventually switch to something else. But it has the best qualities of both partnerships and corporations. And so that was what makes it very popular, especially here in Texas. This is what most businesses start as. So when you're starting your business, you want to think about what type of business you're going to be, how big you're going to grow, how fast you're going to grow, who all is going to be involved, and then you make your decision on what type of business you want to start or what entity you want to do. So I'm sorry for running through that so quickly, but I wanted to get to this because the speakers last week and instructors last week and I all had the same concern. Good. So that as of last week, a lot of you weren't completely prepared on your stuff yet or a little behind schedule. So I want to go through this. Who here has to name your company name? Who has your company name ready? Raise your hand. So we have, all right, so the four of you guys, you don't have your company name? All right, you need to pull out your notebook or piece of paper, and you need to come up with it today.
Okay.
You got it?
I already got mine.
You got yours? But you guys, you have yours?
Oh, yeah, I have mine.
Your company name? Company name? All right, we have, let me get some paper here real quick. Yeah.
The twig buffet.
All right, we need to get some pins here real quick. You guys gotta start working on this. One sec.